What the hell is happening, guys? How you're doing out there? El Stevo here. Thursday morning, well, Thursday afternoon, about midday, bringing you today's review of episode 3 of Designated Survivor. The episode was called The Confession. Started with a bit of a bang. Apart from that, it was quite a slow episode this week. It was quite plodding, I thought. Obviously, the storylines have been continued quite well. But I felt the President Kirkman side of things was a little bit slow this week. The Hannah Wells FBI agent Fred I thought was excellent again. I can see that being the better part of the show, my favourite part. But overall, not after the first two episodes, which were like bang, 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 one thing after another, gripping kind of stuff. This really slowed the pace down, brought it back onto a more kind of chilled out vibe. There's still the undertones of conspiracy, I'll get into that. The power players are sort of, the chess pieces are being put in place, I think. And Kirkman, although he's a fantastic guy, as I'll get into, he's struggling with the politics of DC, shall we say. Got my trusty drink. Basically, we start off today in the White House, as usual, and there's a bit of a power failure, a bit of a power stutter, and it turns out they've been hacked. The hackers haven't taken anything, and the show, if you watch Mr. Robot, they would probably laugh at the pantomime of the lights flickering before the hack. But obviously there is precedent for the White House being hacked, although it's one of the most secure places in the world. The hackers didn't take anything. All they did was plant a video with the leader of Al-Sakar, one Majib Husar, the leader of Al-Sakar, the fictional Al-Qaeda offshoot. Before we got into that, sorry, I missed it at the start. At the end of last week's show, they pulled a survivor from the Capitol building explosion. Turns out this guy is called Congressman McLeish. We'll get into him a bit towards the end because he looks like he's a bit of a shady character. How he survived and 999 other people didn't. So we'll get into that as well. Yeah, the pace was kind of slow. The episode of the Kirkman part was based around the former president's funeral, and he was going to be making a speech. It was very slow. Aaron and Kirkman, the girl that works for Kirkman, have kind of been involved in a bit of a power play to see who becomes his chief of staff. Obviously, Al-Sakar have claimed proof, but we don't know where this video came from, whether it's someone playing mind games with the president. So there's a possibility, I still think there's a huge possibility that this was an inside job in the USA. I think there's some shady characters in the background that are involved, and we're still to find out. Obviously, Kirkman is interviewed for national TV, and someone has leaked the fact that the former president who died fired him before he was designated survivor, so people saying maybe he shouldn't be president. The former president's son then completely upstages him at the funeral and gets Congresswoman, what's her name, Congresswoman Hugh Stratton, and she's a Republican. She makes this fantastic speech at the guy's funeral, and she uses information that Kirkman had given to her confidentially. So basically, politics being in play, she's trying to screw him over. She wants the presidency. After that interview leaked, you've got people hashtagging bogus POTUS, and we think we've got the wrong designated survivor as president. Then, next thing you know, the video of Al-Sakar leader claiming responsibility gets leaked. This takes all of the pressure off of Kirkman, so it actually turns into a bit of a win-win. Turns out that Aaron, Kirkman, as a new chief of staff, leaked this video to get the pressure off of Kirkman. Obviously, it's a bit of a shady thing to do, a bit sly, but this persuades Kirkman that he needs Aaron as his chief of staff. He's got a political mind. He's going to be a good guy to have on side. Well, at least we think so. Hannah Wells, obviously, she finds out that her partner died in the explosion, But she is on McLeish, the guy that survived. She's rewatching the footage from the explosion. She asks one of her techies to hack a lady's phone who was taking pictures. And right at the end, we find out that McLeish wasn't in his seat when the building exploded. So was that guy even there? It's looking like he wasn't even in the building. So he's a suspicious dude. I think we're looking at a big running arc of conspiracy in this show going through the season. Right at the end, Aaron, Kirkman's new chief of staff, receives a folder from a lady with all of Thomas Kirkman's information. So is he going to use that against his new boss? We're setting up for him. People are taking shots at him. A lot of people don't think he should be president. He's getting shots took at him. In the background, we've got Kirkman's son. His kid sister finds a bag of MDMA and a load of money. He was obviously dealing drugs in the first episode. And you've got the family problems in the background. But overall, next week, episode 4 is called The Enemy. I think it needs to pick things up a bit, really. This week, it was kind of slow going. Obviously, with a 13 episode arc or whatever it is, maybe more, you can't have every episode going bang, 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 plot line after plot line. You have to have these episodes where things slow down. But maybe if you binge watch this series, when it all comes out, this episode won't seem as slow. But for me, overall, this episode, it was a good episode, don't get me wrong, it was well acted, but it just seemed a little bit slow. I enjoyed it, but it didn't have that edge of your seat grippiness that the first 2 episodes have. Don't get me wrong, this has got the potential to be a great show. I love the undertones of conspiracy, that's definitely my kind of thing. But I just think we need to speed it back up next week, get back into the Congresswoman trying to screw over Kirkman, and let's get a little bit more information about this conspiracy, and let's get a little bit more information for the FBI about, I think that this bombing was done by home sources. Now this is the biggest terrorist attack in America since 9/11. You know what I'm saying? So if this was an inside job, a lot of people think 9/11 was an inside job, but that's another story. Maybe I'll do a video about that one day. But if this was an inside job, this is big shit. Do you know what I'm saying? So hopefully next week we'll start to get a little bit more information on that. Maybe it'll be a little bit faster, but otherwise, still got a great show. But it was a very, very slow going episode today. That pretty much covers Designated Survivor for this week. I'm going to do